The twin suns of Zephyria glimmered across the crystalline towers of the royal city, reflecting off the polished surfaces and scattering light across the sky. Princess Lyria stood at the top of the tallest spire, her long cloak flowing in the wind. Her hands gripped the railing as she watched the distant horizon, her mind restless. The Zephyrian Empire had known peace for decades, but recent intelligence reports warned of a rogue faction of mercenaries gathering at the edge of their system. Lyria's sharp eyes scanned the horizon, trying to imagine the threat before it arrived. She had grown strong, trained in the arts of strategy, combat, and diplomacy, yet a part of her could never forget the fears of her childhood. There had been a time when she had been small and helpless, when Zephyria had been under siege and when death had seemed inevitable. Those memories were blurry, like fragments of a dream, yet they carried a weight she could not shake. She clenched her fists, refusing to let fear guide her decisions. She was a princess, an heir, and a warrior. Her people depended on her. A sudden commotion in the city below broke her concentration. Communications officers shouted into crystal comms, and the hum of defensive ships coming online filled the air. Lyria's heart quickened. The rogue faction had arrived sooner than expected. Her advisors hurried past, their faces pale, but Lyria remained calm. Calmness was a tool she had learned. Panic never saved anyone. "Princess," a young officer called, bowing quickly. "Sensors indicate multiple ships approaching from the northern asteroid belt. They move fast and they are armed with advanced energy cannons." Lyria turned sharply, her mind working as fast as her pulse. "Alert the fleets. Prepare interceptors. No ship enters Zephyrian space without my orders," she commanded. Her voice carried the authority of a ruler, but also the certainty of a soldier. The officer bowed again and hurried away. Lyria took a deep breath. She needed to see this herself. With a graceful leap and the hum of her anti-gravity boots, she descended from the spire and boarded her personal craft. It glided into the sky, sleek and silent, and she set course for the northern approach. Above the asteroid belt, the enemy ships glinted in the light of the twin suns. They moved in formation, fast and precise. Lyria's heart tightened. Despite the Zephyrian defensive networks, these ships were skilled, experienced, and dangerous. She activated the targeting grid, watching the holographic display as her sensors identified multiple energy signatures approaching her position. Then she saw it, a lone figure on the surface of a small asteroid outpost. The figure moved with remarkable skill, dismantling automated defenses and disabling power nodes. Lyria's breath caught. The human technology patterns were familiar. She had studied humans, but no human moved with this level of precision. And yet somehow she felt that same strange pull in her memory, a vague sense of recognition she could not explain. The figure turned toward her direction, noticing the royal craft, but did not retreat. Instead, it activated a small personal shield and leapt into the path of incoming mercenaries, taking down one after another with perfect timing. Lyria's eyes widened. The human fought with a combination of skill, courage, and intuition that reminded her of someone from her past. Suddenly, fragments of memory came rushing back. A fire, screaming voices, a small girl trapped in the ruins of a burned village, and then a hand, steady and strong, lifting her out of danger. A human had saved her that day. She had been a child, terrified and alone, yet saved by someone whose face she barely remembered. The face now in front of her looked older but carried the same aura, the same quiet strength. Her heart raced. Could it be the same human? The battle escalated. Lyria deployed her ship's energy cannons, taking down several enemy craft. But the lone human on the asteroid continued to hold the line. Every move was calculated, every strike deliberate. The human didn't just fight. He commanded the battlefield without speaking, guiding small groups of defenders to safety, ensuring no civilian or soldier was harmed unnecessarily. Finally, the last mercenary ship in the immediate zone was disabled. Lyria's craft hovered and she activated the communication channel. "Human," she said, her voice both firm and trembling slightly. "Who are you?" The figure paused, lowering his weapon slightly, and then spoke. The voice was deep, calm, and unmistakable. "I am Ethan Kane, Princess Lyria." The name struck her like a thunderbolt. She froze, unable to speak. Memories that had been hazy for years came into focus. The warmth of his hand, the reassurance in his eyes, the promise of protection he had given her as a child. Tears threatened her eyes, but she forced herself to remain composed. She was a princess and a warrior. She could not let emotion cloud her judgment, even now. Ethan moved closer to the craft, standing tall and unarmed to show no threat. "I've returned," he said simply. "I never forgot my promise." Lyria's mind raced. She remembered the invasion, the chaos, the fear. She remembered thinking that no one could save her, and yet someone had. That someone was him. And now he stood before her again, fighting not as a child savior but as a master strategist, capable of holding entire battle zones in check with his actions alone. "What? Why now?" she asked, her voice barely more than a whisper. "I've been watching," Ethan said calmly. "Zephyria is in danger again. I came back to help. You've grown strong, Princess. But even the strongest need allies in times like these." Lyria's eyes narrowed, not in anger, but in thought. She studied him, noting the subtle scars, the confident posture, the quiet authority. This human was no ordinary ally. He was extraordinary. Her pulse quickened not from fear but from recognition of his capability. She had doubted humans in the past, but he proved that they were clever, resilient, and fearless. She began, but words failed her. Instead, she signaled her craft to descend toward the asteroid. "Stay close," she finally said. "The battle isn't over." Ethan nodded and moved alongside her as her ship landed. The two of them surveyed the battlefield, now littered with disabled enemy ships and small fires from crashed drones. Civilians and soldiers alike were emerging from hiding, eyes wide with awe as they noticed Ethan. Whispers spread quickly. A human fighting alongside the princess, guiding them, protecting them. Lyria's mind was a whirlwind of emotions: gratitude, shock, curiosity, and something else, an admiration she had never felt before. She realized more clearly than ever that humans were capable of feats even her advanced training had not prepared her to face. They had resilience, creativity, and courage in ways that no alien technology or training could replicate. The battle was far from over. Scouts reported larger enemy fleets approaching from multiple directions. Lyria activated her comms again. "Ethan, we'll need every advantage we have. Can you hold them until our main forces arrive?" "I can," Ethan replied, his tone steady. "But we'll need to act fast. Their formations suggest they are expecting resistance, but they do not know how well we can coordinate." For hours, Lyria and Ethan worked together, combining Zephyrian firepower with human tactics. Ethan directed smaller units to reinforce weak points, anticipated enemy maneuvers, and coordinated counterattacks with precision. Lyria, in turn, provided intelligence on Zephyrian technology and environmental advantages. Together, they created a force that was far stronger than the sum of its parts. As the last of the mercenary ships fled, Lyria finally allowed herself a moment to breathe. Her gaze fell on Ethan, standing tall and calm amidst the aftermath of battle. She remembered the child he had saved and compared it to the man he had become. The difference was astounding, yet the essence remained the same: protector, hero, and loyal ally. She stepped closer, her voice soft but firm. "Ethan, you've changed." "I've learned," he said simply, "but I've never forgotten." Lyria's heart swelled with a mix of respect and awe. Humans, she realized, were not just allies. They were exceptional. Even now, as her mind struggled to process the flood of memories and the reality before her, she knew one thing clearly: Ethan Kane was extraordinary, and he had come back to protect not just her, but all of Zephyria. For the first time in years, she felt hope. The hope of a future where courage, loyalty, and intelligence, no matter the species, could stand against any threat. And she knew, without doubt, that as long as Ethan stood by her side, she would face whatever came next with strength, confidence, and unwavering resolve. As the suns dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the crystalline city, Lyria turned to Ethan. She whispered almost to herself, "It can't be." "Could it?" Ethan simply nodded, a faint smile touching his lips. "It is me, Princess. I've returned." And with that, the stage was set. The rogue faction might have retreated, but the war for Zephyria's safety was far from over. Yet with the human who had saved her as a child now standing beside her, Lyria felt a strength she had never known before. Together they would face whatever threats emerged from the darkness of space. Together they would triumph. The Zephyrian city hummed with tension and activity. Crystalline towers reflected the first light of dawn, yet the beauty could not hide the scars of recent attacks. Smoke rose from the outskirts where mercenary skirmishes had left small fires burning. Princess Lyria walked along the elevated walkways, her eyes sharp and mind-focused. Behind her, Ethan Kane moved silently, ever vigilant. The human seemed almost part of the city now. Familiar, yet still extraordinary. "Princess," Ethan said, stopping beside her. "We need a plan. The rogue faction will not stop at a few scouts. They are gathering strength. If we wait for them to attack again, we could lose more than territory. We need to strike first." Lyria nodded, her fingers tightening on the railing. "I know, but we cannot act recklessly. Our forces are strong, but the enemy numbers are greater. We need strategy, something they will not expect." Ethan studied the cityscape, the defensive turrets, and the energy barriers. He scanned the fleet docked at the outer spaceport, noting the positions and the number of pilots ready to fly. "We'll combine our strength," he said finally. "Zephyrian technology and human tactics. We strike where they least expect it, and we use misdirection to divide their forces." Lyria's eyes brightened. This was why humans were remarkable, she realized. They could see solutions that others could not. Their minds worked differently, creatively, and efficiently. She trusted Ethan's judgment completely. The first step involved intelligence gathering. Lyria sent her fastest scouts to infiltrate the enemy's position, but Ethan suggested using a smaller strike team, his unit of humans, trained for precision missions. "We need to understand their command structure and locate their leaders. If we remove them, the rest will scatter," he explained. Lyria agreed, and the mission began. Hours later, the strike team returned with detailed reports. The rogue faction had established a temporary base on a nearby asteroid field. Their defenses were strong but not impervious. Ethan and Lyria studied the data together. They marked points for ambushes, areas where Zephyrian energy weapons could disable enemy shields, and narrow passages where humans could infiltrate silently. "Their leader is here," Ethan said, pointing to a holographic display of the enemy's command center. "If we neutralize him quickly, the rest will lose coordination." Lyria nodded. "Then we do it. We cannot let them regroup. Zephyria's safety depends on it." The next day they launched the attack. Zephyrian cruisers approached from the front, drawing the enemy's attention, while Ethan led a small team of human operatives through a narrow asteroid passage, invisible from the main battlefield. Lyria followed close behind, commanding a specialized Zephyrian strike squad. Their coordination was seamless, their trust implicit. As the battle began, Ethan and his team moved with silent precision, disabling automated turrets and security systems. Each step was calculated, each movement designed to minimize risk. They advanced toward the enemy leader, avoiding patrols and traps. Lyria's squad engaged in skirmishes with mercenary fighters, using Zephyrian energy blades and shields to protect civilians and maintain strategic positions. From a distance, Lyria observed Ethan. He was not just skilled, he seemed to anticipate every move of the enemy, guiding the Zephyrian soldiers, correcting positions, and issuing commands that turned confusion into order. She felt a surge of admiration and something deeper, a recognition of the man who had once saved her life, now saving countless others with the same steady hands and calm mind. Finally, Ethan reached the command center. Using a combination of stealth and clever hacking devices, his team disabled the main energy barriers. The enemy leader, caught off guard, tried to escape, but Ethan intercepted him. The fight was brief but decisive. Ethan disarmed the leader, binding him with energy restraints, and signaled to Lyria that the operation was complete. Back on the battlefield, the Zephyrian forces, inspired by the success of the strike team, pressed forward. Enemy ships began to retreat, their coordination broken. Lyria led her squad into the fray, guiding soldiers with precision, using every tactical advantage the terrain and technology offered. She realized that together, humans and Zephyrians formed a force greater than either alone. When the battle finally ended, silence fell across the battlefield. Smoke drifted over the debris and the sound of alarms slowly faded. Lyria looked around at her soldiers, exhausted but triumphant. She turned to Ethan, who stood slightly apart, surveying the scene with calm satisfaction. "You were incredible," she said softly, stepping closer. "Not just today, but always. I remember you saving me as a child, but now I see that you are more than anyone could imagine." Ethan shrugged, his usual calm expression in place. "I've done what I could, Princess. The credit belongs to all of you, your soldiers and your people. Humans can help, but they cannot protect an entire planet alone. Lyria shook her head. No. You've shown me that humans are extraordinary. You think differently, act decisively, and inspire others without even trying. You've saved my people today and countless others. I am proud to have you by my side. For a moment, they simply looked at each other, the weight of past memories and present victories hanging between them. Then Lyria turned, raising her hand to signal her officers. Prepare for reinforcements. We cannot assume this is the last attack. We must ensure Zephyria's defenses are stronger than ever. Ethan nodded. Agreed. But I want to discuss something else first. He led Lyria to a quieter area, away from the hustle of soldiers and engineers. Princess, he said, there is something I never told you. When I saved you as a child, I swore to myself that I would always be there if you needed me. I stayed hidden because it was safer for you. But I have always been watching, always waiting for the right moment to return. Lyria's eyes widened. You've been watching all these years? Yes, Ethan replied. And I am here now because I believe in you, in your leadership and in the potential of humans and Zephyrians working together. We can build something stronger than fear, stronger than war. Tears pricked Lyria's eyes, but she blinked them away. She had always been strong, but now she felt a new kind of strength, a bond that went beyond duty or friendship. Ethan had risked his life to protect her once, and now he stood as her equal, a partner in the defense of her people. The days that followed were filled with preparation. Lyria and Ethan worked tirelessly, fortifying defenses, training soldiers in combined tactics, and creating contingency plans for any future attacks. Soldiers marveled at Ethan's methods, quickly adopting human strategies and blending them with Zephyrian techniques. He taught them patience, precision, and ingenuity, showing that courage and intelligence together could overcome even the greatest threats. One evening, as the sun set and the city glowed with warm light, Lyria and Ethan stood on the balcony of the palace. The city below hummed with activity, but for a moment it was quiet. Lyria looked at Ethan, feeling a mixture of respect, admiration, and something she could not fully name. You've changed everything, Ethan, she said. You've shown me that humans are more than allies. You've shown me that they are extraordinary. Ethan smiled faintly. I've only done what anyone would do for someone they care about. But yes, humans are remarkable, and together we can achieve more than either of us could alone. Lyria nodded. The memory of her childhood, the fear, the helplessness felt distant now. She realized that she had grown not just as a leader, but as someone capable of seeing the potential in others regardless of their origin. Humans had proven themselves not through technology alone, but through courage, intellect, and the willingness to act when it mattered most. The peaceful night was brief. Scouts reported strange energy signatures in the far system, suggesting that remnants of the rogue faction might regroup. Lyria straightened, her resolve returning. We must remain vigilant, she said. But I am no longer afraid. We have allies I can trust, and together, we will protect Zephyria. Ethan stood beside her, quiet but ready. Whatever comes next, we face it together. Humans, Zephyrians, and every soul willing to defend what is right. And Princess, I will always be here. You can count on that. A faint breeze lifted Lyria's cloak, the sun's dipping below the horizon in a final glow of gold and red. She looked at Ethan, seeing not just the human who had saved her life, but the man who had returned to stand with her, to fight beside her, and to show her the strength of human spirit. And in that moment, she shivered, not from fear but from awe and recognition. The human she faced, the one who had saved her as a child, was now her greatest ally, her equal, and a symbol of what humans could achieve when courage and intelligence met purpose. The stars above Zephyria glimmered, as if acknowledging the bond that had formed on that crystalline world. For Lyria, hope burned brighter than ever. For Ethan, the promise of loyalty and courage was fulfilled. And for their people, the future had never looked more secure. Together, they would face any threat, conquer any challenge, and prove that humans, no matter how far from home, could rise to become heroes among the stars. The night deepened, but Zephyria shone brighter than ever, a testament to courage, unity, and the extraordinary spirit of humanity.